Okay, so I'm gonna try and get through this as fast as I can because I've noticed my other videos have been pretty long. And I'm sorry I have so much to say, so little time. So, here we go. We're gonna start from middle school, at least one piece from middle school, one from high school, and kind of like current, recent college work that I've done. Okay, so here we go. Oops, sorry. And this is my bison. It is one of my first very successful works of art that was shown in a public place, and it was at the Slump Library. It had its own show, and it was, among other student works, at the library, at the public library. It wasn't the Slump, I think it was the Barright Library, I can't remember. And I was really excited, but I could not attend the ceremony for this because I had to have surgery on my feet. So I missed my first gallery opening, I guess. It's first and, well, yeah, it's the first. I worked from a photograph by a famous photographer that I cannot recall his name, but I know his brother is the owner of the Mangelson store here in Nebraska. And he is famous for his wildlife photography. So I did this colored pencil drawing of the bison. And it's laminated because, not laminated, but covered in plastic because my art teacher covered it to protect it. So, and I'm sorry for the shininess of the screen and its reflection, but that is 8th grade. And hang on a minute. I should show you high school. I also worked from a photograph. Painted this from a photograph. I don't know who was the photographer, but it was some random place that I found it on Flickr.com, and it was some pictures from I believe a Chinese New Year festival or some kind of Chinese festival. So I painted this, and this was high school. Working from a photograph because that was part of the assignment. Lucky but fierce. I like dragons. And you'll see that in the next. Hang on. I'm sorry, I apologize if you see any smudging in my work. It's because my works are stored in a portfolio that is stored with other stuff that I forgot to spray with fixative. So I'm sorry for the smudging. And sometimes when I'm making my work I smudge, but not because I'm sloppy, it's because it's hard to control my hands. And so I usually end up cleaning up, you know, any smudges that are not meant to be in certain areas when I'm done with, you know, my painting or my drawing or whatever. So I do apologize for the sloppiness. And anyways, I have here this dragon. So you can see, and it was for a class. I can't remember what it was called. It was something about, it wasn't a mixed media course, but I know it was with the same instructor. I can't remember. It was a very nice class that I really enjoyed. I can't remember. Anyways, the assignment was to make a drawing that was very linear, strongly based off of something linear, and I chose a dragon. This dragon was in itself inspired by a dragon charm that I have in my bedroom. So I like dragons. And specifically, I like Chinese dragons. So this was college. I don't just work with painting. I mean, I work with a bunch of mixed media. Painting, colored pencil, you know, dry media. I'm trying to get more into wet media, so I do paint, but not as much as I draw with charcoal or other things, or colored pencils or stuff like that. So I don't stick to just one media, and I don't stick to just paper. In recent years, I've also gotten into Halloween makeup. I'm not an expert. I haven't been trained, but I would like to try to get more into it than what I've been doing. And what you're about to see is a mix of my attempt of zombie monster makeup and playing with photography and kind of stuff like that. So this is a picture, and this, if you can't believe me, this was my nephew when he was about 3-4 years old. He was little, big personality, and he wanted to be a zombie one year. So it's my nephew, my godson. And yes, this is a little boy. I took the picture myself. I did the makeup by myself. All of that. And you're probably wondering, okay, he's a little boy. How is it that his eyes, you know, are white? All of that, the whiteness and the almost comic book cartoon feel to this picture was done on the computer, but his makeup I did myself. It's a zombie. Of course, I couldn't do the harsh zombie makeup because you have to understand when you're working with a child, especially a small child who's not used to wearing so much makeup and who is very sensitive, as far as skin goes, you have to be careful with how you handle that. So that is probably why, people who do face painting on children don't get into extreme details or don't cake on the makeup like you would expect from someone who is working on Face Off or shows like that, heavy monster makeup. That is why he looks like a simplified little zombie. And that's something I wish I would have explained more when I was working on that project for my graphic design class, whom everybody was just like, it's not scary enough. You need to use a different picture. But anyways, yeah. Enough about that. Something from my very last semester of school in college. It's not completely done. I think I'm going to fix it. But it was a collage. Now this is watercolor, but I cut out some images from a few magazines, as was was the requirements of the assignment. So, and I put them into a collage, and then I drew it onto this big sheet of paper and painted it in watercolor. So, of course, you can recognize the alien from Alien, H.R. Giger's work. And I only painted part of it because if I were to take more space to do the entire alien, it would have been just too much and almost impossible to get done on time for school. But and this was a skull that it's actually two skulls. So like this front part is one skull and then this back part was another, because the article did not have the entire skull, so it might look kind of weird. So I thought I would put it together into like a strange wonderland, floating Twilight Zone. Notice I said Twilight Zone, not Twilight the movie, because I hate Twilight. And then these bubbles, which were actually a display, an art display, an article about an art display. And these forms were like some kind of sand, or actually they were watercolor swooshes, and this was fabric. But everything on this piece of paper is, my drawing from the collage that I made, watercolor. And I think I'm going to fix it a little. It's not completely finished. So, yeah. I definitely, I don't know how to put this, but this painting was made like a month or a few weeks, actually a few weeks before H.R. Giger's death, and the minute I heard about that this year, I felt upset. I was sad. I didn't know much about him before college, but I started to pay more attention to the things that I appreciated as far as like art goes. And I definitely have more respect, not because of his passing, but because if you were to try to do his work or try to do the work of another artist that is as complex and amazingly, strangely beautiful as H.R. Giger's, you would find a whole different level of respect for the work that they do, because if you really look at his work, it's like really detailed, really, it's not just the shapes and the shading and the lighting or whatever, but it's really intricate and detailed and complex and strange and beautiful and grotesque. Anyways, from that, more respect to H.R. Giger. And may he rest in peace. This next piece, which I should probably hurry up and talk about because we are going on and on, is an abstract piece. I don't typically work with abstract paintings, and I don't think this is my first attempt of doing abstract work, but it's definitely one of my most successful abstract pieces of work, which is Rose. It is a rose, and you can view it almost at any angle. It's an abstract rose, and if I didn't tell anyone what this was, I'm pretty sure they'd think it was a portal of some kind, but it's actually a rose, an abstract rose that I made. So this being the leaf, and then the petal, the motions of this, geometric swirl, and the stripes here. All aspects of a rose that I was trying to capture all at once. And you can see that the stripes that, radiate from the center are not just black, gray, but they are also purple. And this was done with watercolor and a little bit of gouache. So yeah, I like roses. And these pieces that I'm about to show you, if you're wondering why is she unwrapping that from this cardboard paper or whatever, it's because they were going to be submitted. Well, I was gonna submit them for a gallery student show at my college, but unfortunately they did not get selected for that show. So I'm going to show you here in a minute these pieces. And they were a final project on one of my classes. But anyways, I trust that no one here is going to copy my work. Hopefully. This is my work, okay? I get very angry. I would get very angry if someone else was out there trying to copy my work. I worked hard on these things. Please recognize that I did them. And the same for any other artist out there. Remember, people work hard to make these things. Is this moon? It's a diptych, if I'm saying it right. I'm sorry if I'm not. Which means it's one half of another piece of work that goes along with it. So we have here the moon, the female moon. And you can see, yes, I framed it because I was trying to get it into a gallery at my university. So you can see some of the details of her eyebrow and her eyelashes and her lips. And she's kind of like a skull. And the other half, which was the whole idea of this, was to make a diptych that was opposites. Two things that were opposite, two drawings that were opposite but at the same time connect to one another. And so my son, the sun, which, you see his eyes are awake. He's kind of like cheerful and happy and whatever. And he has this blue thing on his cheek, which is a kiss from the moon. So I'll show you here in a minute. And they go like this. Kissing planets. So it's basically a relationship that I was trying to also emphasize. Two separate people. The moon, mysterious and beautiful. And the sun, very alert and awake and masculine. Feminine and masculine in a relationship with one another. It's kind of like one of those things like opposites attract type of thing. So yeah. And it was also inspired by a relationship that didn't unfortunately go very well, but that's okay. I think I might fix this later on. I'm not sure. I'm truly, completely happy with that sun, though. I might fix it later on when I get the time. If I get the time. I'm a busy girl. And another piece of that I was going to have put into a student show. And yes, I had this framed so it could get into a student show, but it didn't. And if you're wondering what this is, it's the tops of someone's knees, my knees, and then feet. And I kind of have this weird thing where, I don't know, since I've had my surgeries from my feet, I have taken pictures of myself, not from, you know, here to here, waist high or whatever, from the shoulder to the top of my head, but pictures of my own feet every now and then when I'm going through, and I've gone through something, especially starting from my first surgery on my feet. So I was thinking about that when I made this, and also going through a period of where I didn't know where I was at. I was on the road and I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know where I was at. I felt like I was in the middle of nowhere. Not literally like walking on an actual highway or anything like that, but I meant like in life. Sometimes you get that way when you're in college, where you know you're working to get a degree, but you don't know exactly where it's going to take you, and you look around, and at that moment in time you just feel like you're in the middle of nowhere. You don't know how things are going to end up. You feel like you're in some kind of strange land where you don't know what's going on. So I wanted to get that on paper, and the idea was, for me, the idea was to make it as if, you know, connected to what I was going through at the time. But it's also like you just wake up and you're kind of like at the side of a road, and you see the tops of your kneecaps and your feet, and you look, you know, left, right. It's just nothing, just quiet, very quiet. But you see this like strange road going into the horizon. And it's like, you don't know where you're at, you don't know where you're going. And that's what this is about, this particular drawing. I wish I would have done the tops of the kneecaps better, but I was also trying to experiment with like different media when I was working with this. And sometimes I'm successful with it, sometimes not. Could have done better for the knee tops. But all these here are supposed to be like folds from your pants, the folds of the pants. Because you're in someone else's body looking down on a pair of feet. That might be your feet. So, and that's all I'm gonna share. This video is already long enough, and I need to go lay down. So, if you haven't liked or subscribed to this channel and you've liked what you've seen, or you want to contact me or with whatever, you know, comment below, like and subscribe to the Tenebrous Horse Doll channel. I notice a lot of people are liking, well, not liking watching my videos, but I don't see anything. Is there any feedback you have over what I should do better? Please be nice about it. Okay. Like and subscribe. And I will see you in the next video. Bye, darlings.